We've got a whole sea of beds available. Up to 200 people can sleep in this gym.
This will pass at some point. How long it'll be is kind of a question. I know we're trying to flatten the curve and all that, but at some point this will pass, and we'll rebuild and move forward.
So I'm here with Hans Erchinger-Davis from the Lighthouse mission, and this is an unprecedented time, obviously, Hans, but
Yep.
What are some of the things that the Lighthouse mission is doing at this time to serve this really vulnerable population of people in our community?
There's a lot happening, of course. And I think there's a lot happening for everybody. Everyone's feeling this in one way or another. And I would say people, like you said, that are more vulnerable feel it the most typically, and actually probably share the same kind of fears that many of us share of the unknown. One of the things we most recently did was this last Friday, we moved our whole drop-in center, the whole program, all 150 people, actually 160 people, over to Bellingham High School. And that's quite an endeavor to pull off in a day. But it was with a lot of support. We had support of the city and the county and Unified Command and the Bellingham School District to help make this happen. And we moved everybody over there into their commons area and their gym. The gym is for sleeping at night, and the commons area is for the daytime because it's still a 24-hour operation. A lot of people working hard. Pretty proud of my team for doing it, actually. They've got a lot of grit and a lot of flexibility to be able to pull something like that off. You have to kind of be able to roll with the punches and something like that. But they pulled it off. Yeah, it's operating and it's smooth. For now, of course, things can change. We haven't had any COVID cases yet, thankfully. But the purpose behind that was really to be able to give people the 6 feet distancing that we couldn't do in our previous facility. The space, there's just more square footage, we can do that. And there's other benefits to it too. With that extra space, people are less crowded, less prone to maybe listening in on other people's mutterings, and getting upset about it. So you can kind of go to the other side of the room a lot easier if someone's upsetting you, and it just makes for an all-around nicer space for them. We set up rooms in our other programs. So we have our Agape Home recovery program for single women and mamas with kids. We also have our Ascent program in the main mission building, and that's for men. And we also have a mental health dorm in there as well. And we set aside rooms. So if someone does contract the disease, we can isolate them sufficiently. We can bring them food, and they have bathrooms set aside that are just for them and to help mitigate the spread of the disease.
Have you had to shut down any of your programs, or are you mostly operational?
You bet. Yeah, we're operational with the essential programs. So our recovery programs are still going. I will say we've cut out our classes for now. They're just on hold. We have a lot of volunteer taught classes, and we're trying to reduce the amount of volunteers that are coming in unless they're totally essential. Just to have that kind of social distancing that we need. We're treating it like a nursing home, really, even though the people are very mostly pretty fit and can get around just fine. We really want to make sure it doesn't come to the mission. We also know that this disease is pretty contagious, and it can arrive, and we don't know it. I will say, though, that the amount of sterilization that our people are doing that are very concerned about it, because it is congregate living, is incredible. They are just going gangbusters, and we're going through the materials like crazy. We did shut down our outreach as well, just temporarily. So the shower trailer that goes out, as well as our Street Connect vans that go out into the community over to the overpass or down by the river to connect with people and create those trust relationships and give some level of service to get them into our programs. We're not doing that right now. We're really having to cross-train our staff in the event any staff gets sick, and we need fill in. So we're taking the outreach team staff and getting them trained on our drop-in center.
Yeah. So how is your staff doing? How have you found kind of this transition for them? Obviously, I'm sure that there's a lot of a lot of people working long hours and trying to be there to support people, especially with volunteers. Imagine you're not accepting a lot of volunteers to come into the
No,
premises right now.
no, we're asking all our volunteers to stay home right now. It's just, too much risk for our guests if they come in. Also risk for themselves. So really trying to adhere to, the CDC and the county and the health department and everything to really make sure that we're following suit with that. I think staff are I can't speak well enough about them. They're all in. And we're having to say, you know what, you probably shouldn't come in because maybe you've got some health compromises and things like that. But they're in it to the end. They recognize this is emergency services,
Mhm.
that we don't stop till we're the last one standing, and so they're going for it. And they're staying safe too, and I'm sure they have their worries as well. I mean, especially being a nonprofit organization like we are, we're dependent on donations, and we know the economic impact for the whole country right now, but it'll also impact us significantly. We know that. I'm sure staff probably have those concerns too. But it's one of those things where they know their role. We're a Christian organization. We have a strong care and concern for the poor that we operate out of. It's part of our theology. It's part of our moral drive to care for people. And so, and they're following suit with much of the history of the church, actually, and helping out people with the plagues that came through Rome at that time. And it's one of those things where they carry that same spirit today of a desire to love their neighbor.
Yeah. How do you maintain hope and positivity through this? Like, what would you have your team to do? What are some of those conversations like with your team when the world seems so bleak and so depressing, frankly? Like, how do you keep moving forward with this?
I think it's easy to move forward when you have a lot of people depending on you and you're fighting for lives. And so I think my staff doesn't struggle with it too much yet until it quiets down. Now, moving an entire major program into a whole new facility with all sorts of different types of other challenges will keep you very busy. And so you're just hustling to get the job done and making sure shifts are filled and all this sort of thing. And so I don't know if they've all felt the full impact of it yet, honestly. And I think part of the hope too is that this will pass at some point, and how long it'll be is kind of a question. I know we're trying to flatten the curve and all that, but at some point this will pass, and we'll rebuild and move forward. I do feel for those staff though that do have parents, maybe they're more in the baby boomer range themselves, and they have parents that are in these assisted living kinds of facilities that are very high risk. And I know that's got to kind of bear on people a fair bit as they're thinking about that and the fact that they might die. A lot of my staff are pretty young though too, and they're pretty hopeful, and I'm glad for that too, because we can keep the operation going. When you have young staff, that the risks aren't as high for them. But I say too, at the end of the day, like I said before, we're a Christian operation, and death is a reality, and we have hope beyond that. And so there's a big part of us that says, yeah, okay, this might take our lives. Yet at the same time, we have an incredible hope that this isn't the end.
Yeah. So how can people help? I mean, for people who want to support the mission, they can't volunteer, they see the work that you guys are doing down there. What are some tangible ways that you could use support and help and encouragement today, right now? Like, how can people get involved?
The hard work that my staff are up to here, words of encouragement are huge. I know our guests are loving it, and they're very thankful that we're taking these strides to make sure they're staying safe. But it's also good to hear it from the community. So if there's ever, just send an email or give us a call and say thank you. That really goes a long ways for us, because, especially moving into a new site too, there's not a whole lot of public process about it when it's a crisis. And so there's people's concerns and they voice it, and you're like, oh, it hurts your heart a bit, but at the same time, I know lives are going to be saved in this, and just that reminder from the community at large really is a huge asset as you're pouring out your life to help people. That's huge. I know that our donations are down, as I'm sure they are for many nonprofits. For people that support the mission, this is kind of our time that we need more support, because we're putting out more effort now than ever. Even though we're kind of condensing programs down into essential services only, people are putting in extra hours. There's overtime. There's a lot of things that go into this that the mission needs the financial support for. And if people are praying people, we need your prayers too. We put a lot of stock in that, and just praying for this place and praying for the safety of the staff too, and our guests is huge. And we also want to be really thoughtful too. We recognize that we're here to be a blessing to people experiencing homelessness, but we also aim to be a blessing to the folks that support this place too. And so, if you're a supporter of this kind of grand project of healing homelessness, give us a call too if you need prayer. I recognize that there's a lot of people out there that are suffering in this, and we don't want to forget them as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Hans, for your time today, and thanks for all of the work that you're doing in the community and for our community, for this population. We know it's not always easy, and we definitely respect your time and your energy and everything that your whole team is doing. So thank you for that. Yeah, and then this is just an ongoing series that we're going to be doing as Bellingham Tonight, as we can from our homes and living rooms, bringing just information and stories about people doing cool things in the community, doing important work in the community. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's also going to be opportunities to support all of these individuals and nonprofits that we're focusing on. So please take some time to support them as well. Thank you.